Teacher Talking Sports, what it does, what it do, how we live. And it was a little over a week ago where I did a video on the Athletics MLB wildcard era rankings, in which they ranked how successful each of the 30 teams have been since the wildcard era, which is 1995. Well, today the Athletics' Bob Sturm came out with the Athletics 2023 NFL Super Bowl era franchise rankings. So 57 years, as the Kansas City Chiefs have just won the 57th Super Bowl. So the way he scores this is, so he's been doing this for 21 years. So if the team wins the Super Bowl, 11 points. If they lose the Super Bowl, 5 points. If they make the conference championship game and lose there, 3 points. If they make the playoffs, 1 point. So that is how he scores the teams. He put them in 6 different tiers in his how he ranks them. So let's go over them. I'll start at the bottom with tier 6, the Featherweights. So in dead last is the Houston Texans, who have only been a franchise since 2002, but have yet to reach a conference championship game. The Detroit Lions famously have had pretty much no success in the Super Bowl era, yet to make a Super Bowl, and have only made one conference championship despite being around all 57 years. Jaguars 30th. They've been around since 1995. Made the conference championship 3 times, but have yet to advance to the Super Bowl. The Cardinals made a Super Bowl with Kurt Warner. Otherwise, haven't had all that much success. Following that, let's go into the tier 5, the lightweights, starting with the Carolina Panthers at 28. Also were a team in 1995. Made 2 Super Bowls, one with Cam Newton winning MVP. Did not win either of them, though. The Cleveland Browns, kind of been a moribund franchise, similar to the Detroit Lions, but they've at least made 5 conference championship games, but have lost them all. The Los Angeles Chargers, 1 Super Bowl appearance where they got blown out by the San Francisco 49ers. Ken Herbert ascend them in these rankings. And the Atlanta Falcons, they've made 2 Super Bowls as well. Where would they have been on these rankings if Matt Ryan and the Falcons did not blow that 28-3 lead? Next, we're going to get into tier 4, the welterweights. There are a lot of teams in this tier. And by the way, the number to the right is their point total. I mentioned how the point total works. So the New Orleans Saints, they were known as the Aints for quite some time, but they did win a Super Bowl with Drew Brees, which at least puts them into tier 4. Cincinnati Bengals, 0-3 in the Super Bowl with 3 different starting quarterbacks: Ken Anderson, Boomer Esiason, and Joe Burrow. The New York Jets won a Super Bowl all the way back in Super Bowl 3. Have yet to make it back since. Can they be a team on the rise if they are able to add a quarterback? The Tennessee Titans, 21st. That includes their history with the Houston Oilers. We remember Kevin Dyson falling just 1 yard short of the end zone in the Rams' victory over them. 20th, the Chicago Bears. That 1986 Bears defense was absolutely incredible. Helped lead them to the Super Bowl. Otherwise, they made one other appearance against the Colts, which they lost. 19th, the Buccaneers. So the Buccaneers, the lowest team, on here that have won multiple Super Bowls. They won 2, but that's the only 2 conference championship appearances they've made as well. Baltimore Ravens, to be fair, they've only been around since 1996. So I'll quickly at the end go over points by season because some teams have been around less. The Ravens are much higher. They've won 2 Super Bowls with that stellar defense against the Giants, and then Joe Flacco's magnificent postseason performance. 17th, the Seahawks. Seahawks did win a Super Bowl. Russell Wilson. How much higher would they have been if not for the Malcolm Butler interception? Buffalo Bills famously won 4 AFC championships. Back to back to back to back. but were unable to close the deal in any of the Super Bowls. They round out Tier 4. Let's move on to Tier 3. These are known as the Middleweights. Let's start at number 15 with the Philadelphia Eagles. Would they be any higher if they had won the Super Bowl 3 short days ago? But they finally did win their first Super Bowl when Nick Foles was able to outduel Tom Brady. Minnesota Vikings 14th. They are the highest ranked team that has never won the Super Bowl. They are 0-4 in Super Bowl history, have made 6 conference championship games, 31 playoff appearances in the Super Bowl era, but again, have not won a Super Bowl. Washington Commanders, if not for Joe Gibbs, how much lower would they be? They won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks, Joe Theismann, Doug Williams, and Mark Rippon. 12th, the Miami Dolphins. It has been quite some time since the Dolphins last won a Super Bowl. They did make one with Marino, in which they lost 2-5 in the Super Bowl, but haven't made it to the big game since 1984. Baltimore, Indianapolis Colts. 2 Super Bowl wins, one way back in the day and one a little more recent. Super Bowl 41 with Peyton Manning. They also lost 2 Super Bowls. 10th, the New York Giants. So the Giants won 4 Super Bowls, but are only 10th because they've only made the playoffs 17 times. Amazingly, they've never lost in the conference championship game. They're 4-1 in Super Bowl history. All right, up to the top 9, starting in Tier 2, the light heavyweights. A tier that the Chiefs have entered. Last year, they were actually 14th in these rankings, so winning the Super Bowl moves them up 5 slots. They had a huge Super Bowl drought, hadn't won since Len Dawson, but now have won 2 in 4 years while playing in 3 of them. 8th, the Los Angeles/St. Louis Rams. 2 Super Bowl wins, one with Kurt Warner, one the previous season with Matthew Stafford. They've also lost 3 Super Bowls. 7th, the Denver Broncos. We know John Elway won 2 in his final 2 seasons. Peyton Manning struggled his last season in the NFL, but his defense was so good that they were able to win a 3rd. 6th, the Las Vegas Raiders. A lot of that came well in the past. They won Super Bowls 11, 15, and 18, so nearly been 4 decades since they won one. 5th, the Green Bay Packers. You feel like they could be so much higher than they are, but they still are 5th. 4 Super Bowl wins and 1 Super Bowl loss, but when you have Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre back-to-back, a lot of people believe that each quarterback should have won more than 1 Super Bowl apiece. Tier 1, the heavyweights, and these 4 teams are pretty closely matched, starting with the 49ers, won 5 Super Bowls, which came in the 80s and 90s. Joe Montana, Steve Young, Bill Walsh, George Seifert. 3rd, the Dallas Cowboys, another team that was at a long drought without a Super Bowl. Not since the mid-90s have they won one, but they have 5 Super Bowl wins in their career, along with 3 times falling in the Super Bowl. It's been a while since they've even made a conference championship game. 2nd, the Patriots, longly due to the combo of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, that era. Has them just 1 point behind the Pittsburgh Steelers, who of course dominated in the 1970s, but did win 2 more Super Bowls with Ben Roethlisberger. 6-8 in Super Bowl 6 out of 8 Super Bowl appearances they won. So there you have it, the Athletics Super Bowl era franchise rankings. Are you surprised by any of these? Would you have had a different methodology on how you would score the teams than Bob Sturm does? As I said, he's been doing this for 21 years. He mentions how much he enjoys it. Yes, points per season. So some teams, of course, have had less time. So I'll go top 10 points per season. Steelers first, 2.04. Patriots second, 2.02. Cowboys third, 1.98. 49ers fourth, 1.88. Packers fifth, 1.44. Ravens sixth, 1.41. Raiders seventh, 1.39. Broncos eighth, 1.33. Rams ninth, 1.21, and Chiefs 10th, 1.19. The top 10, I won't even go over the points, but past decade, Patriots first, Chiefs second, Seahawks third, Eagles fourth, Rams fifth, Broncos sixth, Packers seventh, 49ers 8th, Buccaneers 9th, Bengals 10th. So the Super Bowl era rankings by The Athletic. Don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.